rules without relationships equal rebellion.
So in that process, not caring so much what the haters are going to say, but just knowing that this is your truth and this is what I'm born to do.
Some are going to love you, some aren't going to love you. And you got to be true to who you are and where you're at.
So many business owners spend too much of their time in defense, trying to always have like a contingency plan.
To be yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everybody else is the toughest fight you'll ever have to fight, and never stop fighting.
Fire, aim, ready. Friends, welcome to another episode of the Business Savage podcast. I am so excited to bring to you today a wonderful guest to the show who is someone that very much inspires me in a lot of different ways. He is an award-winning basketball broadcaster and coach. Since 1998, he has been best known as his colorful voice, which you will hear in a moment, of the Toronto Raptors, where he has earned multiple Canadian Screen Awards. At the age of 26, Jack became the youngest head coach in the NCAA division after accepting a position at Niagara University. He has led teams to a 23-7 record and was named New York State Division Coach of the Year. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, you'll hear the accent in a minute, Jack is now also a renowned speaker, sharing his years of wisdom and stories to inspire those to come. Here, he shares his coaching philosophy, his energy, and his kind heart, and he is sure to leave you feeling motivated, inspired after today's conversation. Please welcome Jack Armstrong.
Thank you, Cassandra. Checks in the mail. Nice intro.
Welcome to the show. So Jack, I originally met you. You probably don't remember. I originally met you back. I used to work for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. I was in the global partnerships department. So I'd met you quite a few times, obviously very much knew who you were and always really enjoyed your colorful and bright energy. And then we had the opportunity to reconnect recently. We were both speakers at the Canadian Swim School Alliance, and I had the opportunity to sit back and listen to you speak and truly was moved. I have a lot of videos on my phone and revisit them, and there's a lot of golden nuggets in there. And so where I would like to start and take this conversation, there was one key piece that you had said that really resonated with me. We talk a lot about business owners on this show, and you talked about how you felt when you had that orange ball in your hand. And you talked a lot about the passion that you felt and how that passion led you throughout your career. And so I would love for you to talk about the importance of people in general, but also business owners, following that passion and not allowing all of these other things to distract us, but how important it is to follow whatever really lights your soul on fire.
Well, you know, the last few words you just said really resonate, light your soul on fire, and to me, when I have a game tonight, I'm in Indianapolis, we're doing this podcast today, and, my excitement builds as the day goes on. And then when I get to the arena and you chat with everybody and then you actually are in the game, my love, my passion, my enthusiasm for it has been there since I was a kid. And, and there's so many people out there that do different things that they have a passion for. And look, the byproduct of it, as we all know, is money and obviously nice things that you have in your life, and that's all fine, well, good. There's nothing wrong with that. And but to me, I think finding that thing in your life that you feel like gives you joy and passion, and really, a return, like something inside that like is really cool, is a great thing to do. And there's nothing wrong with having a job. But if you could also, along with that, have a career that really inspires you and motivates you, it's a really cool element that fits your life. So, I mean, I've had two careers in basketball, one as a coach and now as a broadcaster. And, I've had such amazing experiences that have come from all this because as a kid, I fell in love with it. And regardless of what anyone said to me, nobody was going to stop me. I was going to be a bull in a china shop, and I was going to get where I wanted to get to. And I'm very proud of that. So, and I'm just an example in sports, but there are, a million other examples in so many other walks of life And sometimes it doesn't even end up being your career. It could be you have a job and then you also have, a passion project on the side that is really important to you. And to me, obviously you heard me speak. I'm a big believer there's a dramatic difference between being successful, and successful is stature and money and whatever that may be, status, all that, and achievement in your career. But more importantly, what your level of significance is. What are you doing each day to help others? What are you doing each day to truly be the best version that you want to be of yourself? So to me, I think I always try to do a little bit of both.
Beautiful. I'm curious if you've ever heard of the book Rocket Fuel. Have you ever read that book?
I've heard of it. Unfortunately, I haven't read it. So I need to write a note to myself to actually get on it and actually get it.
Rocket Fuel, yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this in. It's one of the books I recommend to a lot of my clients, and I wanted to bring this in for you because I think this is so relevant. One of the key things that this book talks about is that there's two main types of business people and people in general. We have our visionaries and we have our integrators. And why I want to bring this into conversation with you is because you have been such a successful leader and coach in leading teams. And in order to be a good leader, it requires us to be able to be that visionary and hold that space of seeing the direction of everything. But there also has to be an element of us being able to integrate and really see and understand the members of our team, right? The players and what each one of their individual needs are. And so I would just love your take, whatever comes up for you around the thought of being a good leader, of being the visionary, but also being able to integrate.
Well, first of all, my interpretation of vision is seeing the end product before you start the journey. So having a pretty defined vision of what that is. Okay, that's then my mission statement. And how do I accomplish that based upon my vision, my mission statement? And I think we're in the people business. And being able to create objectives and goals and aspirations and things that you want to achieve with that vision, you got to be able to define what that is. There has to be clarity. There's the old line, when you give an order, you want to make sure it's not only understood, it's not misunderstood. So you got to be crystal clear about things. And yet you have to allow for ambiguity because life is gray. It's not black and white. So things are going to happen. You're going to hit roadblocks. You're going to have detours that you have to navigate. The waters are going to get choppy sometimes. It's going to be hard to get back to land. So there's always going to be those challenges. There's going to be the turbulence. But nonetheless, to me, it comes down to people, being able to inspire people and connect with people. And, when you heard me speak, you said that one of the things I talked about is in the world that we're in now, in terms of trying to lead teams, trying to lead companies, trying to get people to work together for a common goal, electronics are getting in the way of it. In my opinion, we're doing a show and I'm on my phone right now. And look, the cell phone is an amazing tool. It's remarkable, the power that it has. It also can be very much something that interferes with human interaction and human connection and really understanding each other. So one of the things I talk about a lot is the fact that, when you, and this can apply to families, it can apply to companies, it can apply to teams, it can apply to government and society in general. And it's all ours. Rules without relationships equal rebellion. Part 2 of that. Rules with relationships equal respect and results. So we want to get results. How do we get results? We got to get results through forming a bond that is one of respect. How do we do that? We got to communicate. And too often now, we decide to hide behind sometimes the wall and the anonymous nature of email and texting rather than actually being in front of someone, person to person, calling on the phone rather than the text and the email. Because sometimes people are very passive aggressive when they're behind text messaging and their email. And to me, I think when you're going to really have achievement, there has to be a level of respect and understanding and everyone having those relationships that now we're all willing to pull the rope in the same direction. And when we have disagreements, and they're going to be those that you're able to have those and air out your grievances with each other. And I'll never forget, as a young coach said to me, I always want to have an environment where you're willing to express your opinion rather than you feel like you have to suppress your opinion. And there's a big difference there. And to me, how do you have that happen? How do you have collaboration? How do you have teamwork when people feel very comfortable? You never know in a meeting or on a call when someone might say something or come up with some way of doing it, maybe a little different than the way everyone else is looking at it, that you go, wow, that's it. That's the idea. That's the thing that's going to get us over the hump. So to me, I think so much of it is being able to trust in each other personally and get back to, in some way, shape, or form, operating in a humanistic way.
Beautiful. There's something that came up for me as you were sharing that, and I wasn't even planning on asking you this, but I would love to. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm very much trying to step on more stages in the next portion of my life. You obviously have really found your voice and you use your voice daily. There are a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in a social media space, creators that are trying to figure out what their message is, but they are scared. They're scared to share their voice. Public speaking scares them. Even the platform of a cell phone in front of their face is too scary for them to speak their truth. What helped you get really comfortable using your voice? And also in that process, not caring so much what the haters are going to say, but just knowing that this is your truth and this is what I'm born to do. How do we inspire other people to use their voice more powerfully?
Well, it goes back to my coaching career. I never read the papers. That's a good thing. And now in my broadcasting career, I don't look at social media. So right then off the bat, the only people I really concern myself, I have a group of people in my life, professionally, and obviously more importantly, personally, that their opinion of what I do personally or their opinion of what I do professionally really matters to me. So those are the ones I care about in terms of criticism or, whatever critique they might give. And then the rest, some are going to love you, some aren't going to love you. And you got to be true to who you are and where you're at. And I had a high school teacher say one time, and it's always stuck with me. I hope I get it right. To be yourself in a world that's trying to make you like everybody else is to fight the toughest fight you'll ever have to fight and never stop fighting. So your individuality, and, we're all perfectly imperfect, and we're all gifted and special in our own way. And I think people have to get to a point where they get through all that uncomfortable stuff that's in them and say, you know what, I'm going to put my 2 feet on the ground. This is who I am. This is what I'm all about. This is my mission statement. And I'm going to say it with conviction and do it. And the only people that are really concerned about what they think are the ones closest to me from a personal perspective, and the people professionally that I have respect for, and they have respect for me, that will shoot straight with me, that will tell me what I need to hear rather than what I want to hear. And if I'm going to get I guess it's this, is am I going to define myself from the outside in or from the inside out? So I'm going to work on myself, and I'm going to know thyself. I think Aristotle or Socrates said that. Know thyself. And I'm going to bring that out. A lot of times based upon, and it's sad with today's young people, the social media element of their lives, the world, it's like how the world out there sees me. And then I know how I'm supposed to feel about myself. I hope I'm making sense, which is really screwed up. And so to me, I think in terms of, tonight at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock on 3 different, I'll do a SportsCenter hit at 6. I'll do a pregame show at 6:30 and then a game at 7 o'clock. All 3 times that red light's going to come up. And I go into that experience saying, I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've done my research. I know what I'm going to say. Yet it's live TV. I don't know what's going to happen. And you just react with your gut and your experiences, but you're prepared. And I think when you go into something really prepared, so if you're going to be a public speaker and if you feel confident that your message and you've practiced it and you know it and you're comfortable with it, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so I think confidence comes from preparation, but confidence also comes from knowing within you that this is who you are, this is what you believe in. And I'm a big believer, too, that in sports, you truly have success when you know deep down you've paid the price and you haven't cheated the game. And I think the people that don't have success sometimes are because deep down they know they can't lie to the person in the mirror and they skip steps. And I think it's the same in business. It's the same in anything. When you walk into something and say, you know what, I've dotted every I, I crossed every T, I'm ready, I'm prepared, let's do it. You know what? And I still might fail. You'll see a championship game between 2 great teams. We saw the Super Bowl between the 49ers and the Chiefs. And you know what? Someone has to win, someone has to lose. But you know what? If you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, man, I gave it everything I had. We all have a few doubts here and there. But if you say, man, I came into this and I'm completely prepared, let the chips fall where they may. And, the great thing in life is a lot of times we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. And you got to stay humble. It's the old line, peacock today, feather dust tomorrow, right? So always stay humble within it.
Yeah, well, I love that you ended with that, because the saying for us in Savage, the business Savage and our Savage Society container, is that a savage will get knocked down, but we will always get back up. And so it's not about how you fall back down. It's about how you choose to rise after falling. I can't tell you how many quote unquote failures I have faced, but they have made me so much stronger and the woman that I am today, because I've been through those experiences. So actually having gratitude for them rather than fear what's going to come up in the future. This leads me beautifully into one of my last big questions for you. You know that I'm a hockey player. I grew up playing competitive hockey since 3 years old. I played basketball, I played football, I played volleyball my whole life. 5'9", I was thrown on the basketball court, even though I didn't know what I was doing. But they threw me in there. So my question for you, and it's so relevant because I started it with a podcast called Buckets and Gloves, and we talk hockey talk, and then it turned into business. Offense and defense. We have seasons in our business where we are in offense, we're in go mode, and then there's some seasons we're a little bit more in defense. And for you, obviously, basketball, it's back and forth, back and forth. Hockey, it's back and forth, back and forth. Football, that delay is a little bit longer. So many business owners spend too much of their time in defense, trying to protect and trying to prevent and trying to control and trying to always have like a contingency plan. My motto for business and life is fire, aim, ready. I will fire, I will aim, and then I will figure it out. I live my life in offense. What are your thoughts, just in general, business owner's life, living it in offense versus defense?
I think balance is important. I think that you got to go with your instincts, and I think your instincts are to be assertive, to be aggressive. I also think you have to have, when you are aggressive and when you are assertive, your ducks have to be in a row and you have to be lined up and ready to go. And here we come. We're coming after you. And then there are other times where, because of sometimes things beyond your control, market conditions, the market, is up 200 points, the market's down 300 points, interest rates go up, inflation, yada, yada, yada. Again, all the turbulence issues that happen sometimes from a business nature, or the same in sports, like injuries. If it's an outdoor sport, bad weather, there's a lot of contingencies. So I do think sometimes you have to take a pause and reflect and say, okay, I need to adjust and adapt to current environmental conditions, whether it be business environment, whatever it may be. Or, I have some of my key employees are out because they're sick or on vacation, whatever it may be. I think you have to, and I think the other thing too is I think it's important to reflect and catch your breath. I think it's really important that we're in such a busy society. I see companies make mistakes a lot because they grow so fast and they're so furious that they grow at a rapid pace, and then boom, it's peacock and then feather duster. Because along the way, you're not constantly reevaluating and saying, okay, what's our next step? Let's make sure we're aggressive, but we also want to be cognizant of that. And here's my thing that I learned as a young coach. The legendary John Wooden used to say, let us not mistake activity for achievement. There are a lot of people I meet that are doing a lot, but not accomplishing a lot. So to me, I'd rather, I've always been a big believer as a coach that, you try to execute 3 things and do those 3 things really well. So what are the pillars of your team? What are the pillars of your company? What are your pillars personally? What do you hang your hat on? What's your mission statement? What are you about? And I think a lot of times we can end up being a mile wide and only an inch thick, and we spread ourselves too thin. So yes, I want to be on the offensive. Yes, I want to shoot first. Yes, I also want to be able to be reflective and conscious of everything around me, and also hit the pause button on occasion and say, oh, let me take a deep breath here. Let me reflect. Let me get away from it all and of the busyness of emails and calls and travel and yada, yada, yada. Walk on a beach by myself and think, I'm a runner. So each day I'm able to gather my thoughts while I'm running. I think I come up with great ideas because I'm away from everything, the distractions. And I think that's really important too. So to be a good leader, because you get burnt out. And I had a coach I used to work for. It was a great thing he said to me. He goes, isn't it interesting in universities? I mean, you have university professors take a sabbatical. He goes, have you ever seen a basketball coach or a football coach say, hey, I'm taking a sabbatical? Obviously sometimes it's a forced sabbatical when you get fired, and that happens all the time because you don't win enough games. But how many people say consciously, you know what, I'm going to unplug for a year and take a year off? No, we're all so insecure that we're never going to let someone step into our seat and take that opportunity. And because you say, how am I getting back to that? Nonetheless, we can't take that, university life, and sometimes, in my opinion, doesn't really mirror reality. Tenure, sabbaticals, I mean, that's, wow, that's unlike the real world. So to me, we have to find ways to take little mini sabbaticals, whether it be, or or do things that help us with self-improvement. Go to conferences, talk to people in different lines of work, and get their thoughts on it. So to me, I think you have to keep yourself sharp. You have to keep yourself current. And if you're in the grind every day and you never let up, and it becomes more about activity, I think it's going to become less about achievement.
Yes, the click on all of that. Last thing that I would like to ask you, and then we'll wrap up for today, with being respectful of your time for the evening, for the game, keeping your energy. We talk a lot. I do a lot of mindset work, and we talk a lot about thoughts that aren't serving you. In order for us to become someone that we've never been, we have to do something that we have never done. We have to shed these layers. We have to leave this old identity and old values and old beliefs behind you, these fears, these things that aren't serving you. And as I bring this in, I want to bring in your famous line, get that garbage out of here. Because that makes me, when I think about that line, and I know you're saying it in different contexts, to me, what does that mean from a perspective of let's leave behind, let's sweep the cobwebs of what's not serving you? You know, we think of the statement of Albert Einstein doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And so in order to do these things and step into this biggest, highest version of ourselves, it requires us to let go and get that garbage out of here. What comes up for you as I bring all of that up?
I think I struggle with it. I think everyone struggles with it. You know, what's the old the serenity prayer, right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And there are many days where I say that to myself because there are things that I think it was a Jewish proverb, a Hebrew proverb, man plans, God laughs. You know, like you think you got all your ducks in line, you think you dotted your I's and you crossed your T's, but nonetheless, there's always a curveball. You know, life outdistances us. It's never, you know, we're never going to end up in the perfect utopian location, and bands will be playing and there'll be a lifetime of celebration. And that's the thing I think we all struggle with. I struggle with it. I'm sure in some days you do. What's the old line? 10% of life is what happens to us. 90% is how we deal with it. So I think it's the mindset of saying, look, yeah, this is a setback, or this is, you know what? This is total, complete BS, and I'm ticked off about it. Okay, that's the 10%. Now, how am I going to deal with it? Because I got to deal with reality on reality's terms, whether I like it or not. And that's hard. So I think you try to have as best of an internal discussion with yourself. And you got to have people in your life that you can get it off your chest. And sometimes say, you know what, can we talk? You know, like I'm having an issue right now, and I don't know how to really come to grips with this. Can I just let off some steam to you? And maybe you can give me a few thoughts. Not a ton of them. As I say, I think max 3. But give me a few things that maybe can help me. So when I'm having an issue personally, I have some people in my life that I'll pick up the phone and call them, or say, hey, can I meet you for a cup of coffee, for a beer? Let's have lunch, whatever. Or, and then I have people professionally in my career, the same exact thing, where I say, can I vent to you a little bit? I don't know how I'm supposed to react to this. How am I supposed to handle myself? Here are the things I'm thinking of how I should react to it, but I want to make sure I'm not only in the right church, but I'm in the right pew. You know, like help center me here. And again, I think when we're spending so much time and we're overwhelmed electronically, not giving ourselves the time to get away from it and unplug and have those conversations internally, but more importantly, with people that maybe can give you some insights. we're doing ourselves an injustice. And I don't know if I answered your question, but I philosophically, that's where I'm at. And here I am, I'm 61 years old. I've had 2 careers, married, 3 kids. Kids are grown up. And, it's life goes through different phases. And I love what I do, and I want to finish my career, doing this for the Toronto Raptors. And it's been a great run, and I hope it continues for quite a while. I have no control over any of that. All I can control every day is my attitude, my effort, my professionalism, how I treat people. And you do the best you can, and you let the chips fall where they may. At the same time, there are things beyond your control. And there's always going to be the case. So that, I don't have an answer to it, but I just know that when you feel like you're not in control as much, I think you got to reach out to somebody and some people that are in your life that you trust dearly that are going to shoot straight with you. And too often, we're allowing, again, the external to affect the internal rather than the internal working really hard on the internal and then letting that come out to others. And sometimes you need to work more on yourself. And I think any great leader, is sometimes you need to, what I find pretty cool sometimes when you see heads of state and they meet on a conference and they walk out in a garden and you'll say, hey, the G8 summit or whatever, or so-and-so visited Parliament today, or the White House or whatever the case may be. And you see the leaders walking shoulder to shoulder. And I've always been a big believer in shoulder to shoulder communication. And I think I've had some of the best discussions I've ever had in the car with my wife while we're both looking at the front windshield, or with one of my kids, where, eyeball to eyeball is really important. But sometimes you just want to look out ahead and feel a little bit more just like being able to vent a little bit and not feel as pinned down and as, because sometimes I think I find, particularly when I was coaching, where you sit down when I was coaching, maybe I'm sitting with a player who's 21 years old, 21-year-old guy. And even though you're trying to get them in the habit of firm handshake, eye contact, I can see into your soul through your eyes, all that stuff. They're not maybe at a point yet where they're comfortable enough within themselves to be able to address you eyeball to eyeball. So sometimes the best ways are just say, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a ride. And, but there's a lot of different ways to communicate. And there's a lot of different ways to interact. But I think, again, when we get so wrapped up with electronically doing it, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. We're doing our teams, our companies, our governments, our society a disservice when we're not really getting to the soul and the human element of things.
Yeah. A lot of philosophical advice, a lot of practical advice. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything that you've shared today. I can really feel your kindness and your sincerity and your energy. And I know that everyone that listens to this is going to get a lot from it as well. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with?
You know what? I laid it all out there already. So I just want to say thank you to you, Cassandra. I'm so proud of you and what you've done in your life and in your career and the big moves you've made and the path and the journey that you're on. And you should be really proud of yourself. And so I'm honored and privileged to have had the opportunity to come on your show today with you. And I always say this, if I say one thing that helps somebody, I've done my job. If I say more than one thing that helps, we've witnessed a miracle.
I love that. Thank you so very much. Good luck with the game tonight. And I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thanks, Cassandra.
Have a beautiful day.